So let's ensure we can see items on a cart page. And the problem is that right now this does not work because here on cart.ejs, we're still accessing product data for every product we loaded. But the products we have here are now just the products from our database. So we don't need to access any nested product data. Instead here, we'll just have p-title. We'll have a look at the quantity in a second. And p-id down there. So we can directly access the fields of our products on, well, the product we're looping through. Now the quantity is not part of that, but of the related cart item, you could say. And conveniently, Sequelize also gives us a cart item key for this, which stores information about this in-between table and the entry that is related to this product there. So if we save this, and we now reload this page, it still doesn't work because that should be cart item with a capital I. This is how I named my model. So now you can see this works, and now we're displaying our cart item here. And that, of course, is not quantity, but quantity. So the key name we defined in our in-between table. And now we see the quantity too. So now we can see the cart items again. Now we can go back to making sure that we also handle the case that we add an existing item to the cart. So let's make sure we also handle this case, that we add a product to the cart which is already part of the cart. And that should, of course, simply increment the quantity then. Therefore here, if we make it into this if block, I essentially want to get my old quantity first of all, which I can get from my product by accessing cart item, as we just did it in the view in the last lecture. This is this extra field that gets added by Sequelize to give us access to this in-between table. And there to the quantity. And Sequelize does not just give us access to the in-between table, but to this exact product in the in-between table. So therefore we get the quantity for this product as it's stored in the cart. So now we have our old quantity and new quantity. The variable we initialize with 1 here is now simply old quantity plus 1. With that, we just have to add it to the cart. So here I will return fetched cart to get access to the cart, and then add product as I do it down there too. Add product, and then simply my product here and my through call where I set my quantity to, new quantity, just as I do it down there. If we now wanted to avoid nested then blocks here, what we could do is we could add a new then block here where we get some data, to which I'll come back, where we do handle this fetched cart thing, which is the same for both cases. Essentially, we add a product with new quantity. So we can certainly remove that. But now the difference is that data here actually should hold both the product that needs to be added and our quantity, right? Because the quantity is calculated differently. It either stays at 1 or here we set it to old quantity plus 1. To make sure that we correctly get that data, we can of course pull new quantity out of this anonymous function and make it a top level variable in this overall function here. And therefore new quantity is available in all then blocks. And we either leave it at 1 here, or if we got a product, we also need to return that product here, because that will then be our product we receive in the then block. It's automatically wrapped by a promise, as I mentioned earlier. And now we have a setup that should work again, and that ultimately should ensure that we redirect. So now let's see this. Let's click add to cart again, and the quantity indeed is 2 now. And if I add a second product here, this one with the price 66, and I add this to my cart, this is now at 1. And that is now pretty neat. We can now start adding all these products. Now let's make sure we can also delete them from the cart.